Welcome. My name is Penelope Chatterton. Welcome to Awaken the Dream. My friends, I am so excited to share an overview today of The Infinite Way of Joel Goldsmith. But first, I have to thank my director, Tim Riley, who's awesome. He does a great job, seems to know my every move, which is great. Ellery Curran Moori, I have not mentioned enough, is my web gal. She does beautiful work, so thank you, Ellery. Thank you, Acropolis Books, for a place to go to get all of Joel's work. And thanks to Liz Parker and Marty for the work they do, extending how to weed your way through all that material. And let me tell you, I want to share what Joel has to say about why so much material. A good place to start is Joel often says, gee, I could do a 500-page textbook and be done with it. But guess what? He's done, 100 books, lectures. He's spoken everywhere. He is global. He's in every country. He's everywhere. And he's one person. He's a channel. He's a transitioning person. He is a channel. He's a meditator. He discovered the mystical eye within himself. And he's a transparency. Absolutely. And he's brilliant. And everyone appreciates him. And I want to talk a little bit about the difference between metaphysics and mysticism. He talks to practitioners about this, because practitioners, he was raised in the Christian Science church later in life, and he noticed that practitioners put their shingle up from 1 to 12 or 12 to 4, and they have specific times where they do their work with others. But that's not mysticism. That's not the infinite way. The infinite way is you're on duty 24/7. The still small voice, even if you're sleeping, is working. You have to check in. And you learn to do that in time when you realize how your life works every single day. So again, about all of that material. Now, I read all of his books, I think 50, I don't know how many, and I've heard all his lectures, and today the one that he's addressing practitioners is especially interesting because he gives an overview of why we have to be patient, of which this gal has none, I confess. And you know, as hard as I've worked for maybe 10 years on this program and on this material, I still feel like I think we all are, and Joel is comforting to say we are still in this dimension. We come into it, we know all about fear, we know all about the awful things that are going on here, and the fight is on because we don't like it. But I am in both dimensions. There's no getting around it. We just are. And you know, it's kind of a comfort for Joel to share that, because you can feel guilty. It's like, hey, why am I not walking on water today? Why am I not Jesus? Why am I not Mary Baker Eddy? Why am I not some Hindu philosopher or a Zen Buddhist? Why am I not that? I've been working hard. But that's how amazing this trip is. To say it's a long one or lifetimes, I mean, when you come in, either you're drawn to it or you're not. Now, here's some advice from Joel. Don't throw these pearls before folks that do not want to hear it. And I think that's very good advice. And you can sort of tell who doesn't want to hear it because you don't want to go there. I mean, he says, I have a big library. People come to my home. I've got these precious things. I can't show them to everybody because they won't appreciate them, and I can tell. So he's been very discerning about his life and his process. Without a doubt, the man has worked hard. So if you're drawn to the infinite way, it means you're drawn to beyond the metaphysical. The metaphysical claims things. They talk about God. There's synonyms for God. They have phrases about what God is. That's where the veil is on. Joel says that's where you don't talk. That's where God isn't. God is only the still small voice. That's it. Which means meditation is the Bible of the infinite way. The still small voice is there. 24/7, you wake up and it's there. Your job is to remember that and tune in. Rest in the grace, rest in the peace. It's there. And you know, for active, crazy people like we humans are, that's not easy. Not easy at all. So that's work. And you know, it's interesting. I've noticed in my own life certain things are leaving me that I used to find entertaining, because I think as you cultivate the still small voice, you find, darn, there's nothing better than that. There's nothing better than that. And I always ask the voice to guide me through this show, because I get nervous, because I really want to do such a good job for the Infinite Way and for folks who really love Joel Goldsmith. I mean, he's a master. And how do you know he's a master? He's a master because he's a servant. And Jesus knew that when he washed his disciples' feet. He wanted them to know he was not a king. He was not just the only one that knew God. And you know, he had a hard time. And a very interesting story, which I hadn't heard of, is King Constantine, I think 300 or 400 years after the death of Christ, decided he should organize a religion. He noticed the Hebrews were having a little too much fun, and he wasn't controlling them the way he wanted to. And so he organized religion where when you're born, that's it. You're in religion, you pay your dues, and that's it, no choice. And so I think that's kind of interesting, as he even had a Bible created, and he left all the stuff out that Jesus was talking about. I think 3 of Jesus's Bibles have been found, but a lot of them were trashed, because his Bible, King Constantine wanted his Bible to look different. It was about organization. It was about being a religious person, and the behaviors and the finances and the no choice about it. So, you know, I found that such a fascinating story, as the one about Moses. Moses, who freed the slaves. I mean, those slaves were really liked by the Hebrew king, and he had a wonderfully powerful army. So the fact that Moses could actually hear the still small voice, he was out of his body. He knew what eternity was. So he knew that there would be pillars of fire by night, and by day, and shadows by night, or shadows by day and pillars of fire by night, as he led the Hebrews out of slavery. Now, here's a punchline. Could they go into the promised land? This is a good point. No. He was fine getting them out of there. But to the promised land, which is where he had his vision of eternity and the still small voice and the heavenly riches, he experienced that, which enabled him to do all of those miracles. But to get there, he can take you up to the promised land, and guess what? No one can do it but you. Individual consciousness. We all have a part to play in this. We all have a job. We're all individual people that know God, and we have an assignment, and I'm fascinated by that. Because I wouldn't be doing this if I weren't hit over the head by that Parenthesis in Eternity book that Joel wrote, and I read 10 years ago. I just had to sit down because his journey was a lot about mine, and I just couldn't believe that I had to share that, because it was healing me. And I do this because I'm working on my work. I'm working on me. I'm working on my soul. I'm working on being attentive to the still small voice. So as I study and practice and preach and teach, I'm a student teacher. There's no getting around it. I'm not a prophet. I'm not a practitioner. I'm a student teacher. And I love my job. And I'm still at it. So as I preach what I need to learn, and my preparation has taken me away from so many things in this dimension that I walked into when I was born. I mean, the Garden of Eden, I want that. I want that. I want the still small voice. I want the comfort of being in this dimension and actually doing my job to erase fear thoughts. And that's what we can do. We don't have to be 3 million people to do it. We can be a group of us, a small group of us can do this. And we can move mountains as we erase fear. So, whatever your job is, you've got one. And you know what that job means? You're redefining who God is. What about He prepareth that which He would have me do? What do you think that means? It doesn't mean you have any choice in what you do. You're given your assignment, and your assignment is not about what you want. It's not what I want. It's what God wants you to do for God. He wants us to help redefine His energy, His love, His peace. And we always know service is a way to know who's ready for this. Those who serve, those folks have grace. They know what they're doing. But we're given this assignment as we're ready for it. And not everybody is, and that's okay. We judge not. We judge not. Paul said, I live not, but Christ liveth my life for me. He knew. He knew. And there are many prophets in the past, Joel is mentioning, that knew all about the still small voice and the perfection of eternity here and now. There's been a lot of writing about that. There have been a lot of prophets that have taken us so far along the path. But as I say, metaphysics have moved us into mysticism, the mystical eye. The mystical eye is who we are. Without words, it's silence, it's listening, it's meditating, it's knowing I am He. I am He. I am a voice for God. I have a partner. I have someone working with me. Every minute of every day, when I sleep, it's still active. It's always 24/7. Not like practitioners who put their shingle out for so many hours. It's a wonderful assignment, because who of us don't want inner peace? Who of us don't want to walk on water? Who of us don't want those heavenly riches? Our soul, our mind, our bodies are all created by the source, the God within us, the eternal God. We're one huge soul, and we all have a part in this drama, in this beautiful time to be here. It's so interesting when you look around at all the kinds of professions that there are, that this would be one we could have. If Joel moves your heart, that's pretty wonderful. And you know, he says, we're not going back to be kings and slaves. You know, we've worked our way through many, many incarnations to be here, or to be available for this kind of work. I mean, we've suffered. We've suffered in the human scene, and as we come in, we wake up when we're ready. And God works with us and knows when we're ready. We're one huge soul with an individual assignment, but it can't be about us. Can't be about what you want. Can't be about money. Even Joel talked about when he was working with practitioners about he was shy money. And they were working on it, but he realized later the reason it wasn't working was because it's what he wanted. As soon as he let go of what he wanted financially, finances worked. Lectures worked. He's been all over this country, and as he says humbly, I'm one soul. I'm a transparency. I was hit over the head with a still small voice, and I listened and I wrote and I wrote and I lectured and I did workshops. The man's been all over this country. And you know that Bible I was talking about? It's got Western, Eastern, Near East energy in it. It's got all kinds of healing energy in the new Bible. Yeah. And you know, Jesus the Christ, you know, they say, at least Joel tells us, he had 3 disciples he could really work with that knew about the still small voice. I mean, he had so many followers, but that just goes to show. It's like Joel said, I have hundreds of people come in here, and how many come back? Not many. It's a path that you're ready for when you're ready for it. And you'll know that because something inside you will say, I've got to serve. And that's how Joel noticed the folks that came to him, that kept coming back to work with him. They all were serving people. They were masters. Like Jesus was a master, but he was also a servant. His message was powerful. He had many followers, like Buddha. I mean, and it's so wonderful that Joel can say, look, he was great, but he only knew the still small voice. That's what he preached. He wanted everybody else to know that. Yeah, he didn't want credit to be the man, the king, the whatever. He did not want that. He wanted to tell folks that what he had, they have, which, as I say, which is why he washed the disciples' feet, to show his humility, his likeness to them. It was a journey, and boy, did he do his work, did he do his share, and has he moved mountains? But so has Joel, and I can't say enough about Joel. I wonder if I give him enough credit sometimes, because he's a mystic. And you know, he was raised a retailer. His mom always said, hey, you really want to find God, don't you? And you know, he sold his linens and he traveled with that. And then I think his father was healed by a Christian Science practitioner, and I think he was healed. So what's interesting about that, that did it. That did it. He realized, like Jesus healed people. He helped them with finances, with anything they needed. He could do that with them, working with them, when those who could understand him. But Joel, I mean, a transparency is a miracle. He learned after he had to leave actually the Christian Science church, because there was rough stuff going on. There was human stuff going on, as any organized religion or any organized anything. And he wanted to go further than that. He wanted something that was purer. He wasn't looking to start a church. But all I can say is I'm so grateful to him. And there are numerous sites that like the Infinite Way. I think they're on the lower thirds that will come up during this show, where you can check out other folks who are working with that material. And of course, Acropolis Books, if you need anything, that's the place to go. Now, Liz Parker and Marty, I mean, because there's so much material, she wrote an introduction on how to weave your way through all of that. I mean, I bow down to her for doing it. She realized, and I, by no fluke, I just took one after another, and I just kept finding them. And I had no path in particular, but it sort of worked for me to just be in love with that. And then the lectures. I have tapes that I just adore. Sometimes I think I'm going to sound like Joel Goldsmith. I love the way he talks. I love his accent. I love the fact that his journey is so personal, and he's so warm. He loves his audience. And you know, as I say, he had 5 teachers come, and hundreds of people came. And those who could hear the still small voice stayed or came back. Those who couldn't make any sense out of it did not. So Joel has often said, I've seen so many people climb on board with this material, and I've seen so many people leave it. And I can understand that. I haven't been able to leave it. But that's why he says, do not throw your pearls before swine. Do not go out telling everybody about it. They'll find you, or they'll find the still small voice themselves. And he said, look at the sun. I love the fact he says, look at the sun. It's always shining on you. When are you going to get it, that you get under that? And listen, it's there waiting for you. So that's the interesting part about where I learned about my journey and got some comfort out of the fact that I'm in and out of 2 dimensions, which I can sort of be hard on myself about. God, I'm worried about this, or I'm worried about that, and then I meditate and I dissolve it. But I'm annoyed with myself, and maybe other folks are, who would love to walk on water and have the heavenly riches all the time. But you know, without those trials, how would we get there? Good point, huh? How would we ever look for an inner grace if we didn't have trials, if we didn't have sickness or sin, or if we didn't have a past that we didn't like? You know, Joel says, please forgive yourself if you've been crazy, if you've done stupid things, if you've been a sinner, if you've been a thief. Forgive yourself. It's over. No one's going to hold that to you. No one's going to hold that over your head. It's gone. Once you realize that you have the power within you to walk on water. I love that. I love that. He's encouraging. What can I say? He's just encouraging. And it's interesting, he was born in the late 1800s, and I think he died in his early 70s. And the work that he did, the folks that he worked with, I mean, What a mission. So you never know what your mission is, my friends. And all I can say is you can always ask. If you keep meditating, which is, I say, the Bible of the infinite way, keep meditating and say, what can I do? Where is my talent? I don't care if you're a janitor or a professor in a college. It does not matter. I think what matters is you show up and love your neighbor. You're looking in a mirror all the time. Let me get to that point because it's important. When you love thy neighbor means everyone you look at, your worst enemy, people you really don't like, you've got to see differently. You've got to see them as holy. Big job, huh? They're sons and daughters of God. They're perfect. So if you want your heart to come back to you with what your vision is, what your judgment is, it better be good. Because if you're blaming anybody, if you're feeling sorry for yourself because somebody did you wrong, who's going to suffer? Not that person. It's going to be you. Do you get that? So walk on water, see everyone as sons and daughters and perfect. Perfect in mind, body, and soul. We're one huge soul. This whole universe is perfect. And we have a job to do for God. And when we get those assignments, you'll know it. You'll know it. Something will hit you where, my God, I've got this talent. I can do it this way, or I can do it that way. But you'll find a way to show up without even saying to somebody, you know, this is who I am and what I do. Just your givingness, your loving nature, just your seeing everyone as whole, complete, and perfect. That's your demonstration. And that is all you have to do. If you have a special teaching talent or serving talent or anything like that, sure. But you're perfecting who God is. That's what we do. Not perfecting what we want, what we think we should have. No, don't go there. So I'm winding down, and I want to thank you because this journey for me has been traumatic, and I've had a lot of loss, and frankly, sometimes those losses that we have, the pain that we've had in life, it's a setup in a sense where you have to go within. You just have to go within for comfort. You have to find peace. You have to find love. You have to find something to keep you going. So sometimes if you have a traumatic life, there's a strange gift in it, if you can look at it that way, where you turn everything around as you meditate. I can't say enough about the still small voice. We're here to meditate, meditate, meditate. Sit under that sun which is always shining on you. Always shining on you. It doesn't go away. Get under it. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining me on Awaken the Dream. We'll talk to you again soon.